Hello and welcome to the Total Clarity Podcast. I'm Mike Varley.
And I'm Jessie Hyatt.
And this is week 42 of our 52-week walk around New York City.
And this week we were walking in Cortlandt Park and we were walking in the Bronx Zoo. And right now we are not in either of those places. We're actually in Soundview Park
That's
at
right.
the moment.
We're in Soundview Park, which is in the Bronx, New York. It is our first week of 4 straight weeks in this lovely borough, and we can see a little bit through the trees there, the Manhattan skyline, a different view than many people might see. We're walking into the sunset right now, and this is a park that's on the opposite side of where we're going to be today, which is, as Jessie mentioned, Cortlandt Park. And we had a special guest with us today.
We did! We had a guest named Laila Bakhtiari, and Laila is a good friend of ours. She also happens to be someone that has worked with the parks, and she has been working in parks systems and with other organizations that are related to park systems for over a decade or so. And she had a lot to share with us that was really interesting, and we got to learn all about different ways that she has worked to keep the park systems and the forests and all of the urban plant environments healthy and growing. And yeah, it was really interesting. And we also on our walk got to point out some special plants that we saw in Cortlandt, and I had a great time.
You're giving away the whole game.
I'm giving away some of it.
People
I'm just teasing
People
it.
need to discover it for themselves.
Okay, well, I hope they will.
Yeah, that's right.
Stick around.
So we had a great talk with Laila. Also, we mentioned that we went to the Bronx Zoo, and we have a 360 video for that, which we will put a link up so that folks can see what that's all about. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into hanging with Laila.
All right.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi, Laila. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
On this really nice spring day.
Yeah, we're here at the stables of Cortlandt Park, and this is one of your favorite parks in the Bronx, right?
Yeah, definitely. This is one of the biggest parks, the third biggest park in New York City.
Whoa.
And one of my favorite. And it's just a really nice place to go on a walk on a nice day.
Yeah.
Well, it's perfect. It's a nice day then. Let's walk.
Start. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the third biggest park. What's the first and the second?
First biggest park is Central Park.
Okay.
No, sorry. Oh my God. First biggest park is Pelham Bay Park.
Okay.
Second is Central Park, and this is the third.
And then this is third.
Yeah.
Wow.
And when Fresh Gills opens, Fresh Gills would be the biggest.
The one in
Ooh.
Staten Island?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize
Yeah, that was the one that we didn't get to get into when we were in Staten Island, but I'm excited.
Yeah, it's hard to go in.
Yeah.
It was also like still pretty high COVID situation, so
Right.
people were not keen on letting us in. But yeah, you could see from the distance the potential, you know?
Yeah.
And I think, it'll probably open in many, many, many different phases. So I don't know, by the time it will all be open, then it will be the biggest park.
Right.
So now still Pelham Bay is the biggest park, which is another favorite.
Yeah.
We'll be
Park
going
of
there in a
mine.
couple weeks, so
Yeah.
we're excited about that.
Maybe I'll join you again.
Sure.
Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that'd be
I
great.
know.
A double dose.
Yeah.
And does that include the golf course that's in here too, or no? Is that?
Yeah.
It does. Okay.
It does.
My
Yes.
understanding is that's the oldest public course
Cool.
in the country.
That is true. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was something that also we bring up Fresh Kills. I don't really recall another park in the city or another park that I've been to that has a golf course inside of it, but both Staten Island has one like that and this one has it too.
Pelham Bay does too.
Oh, okay.
really?
Interesting.
Yeah. Marine Park has one too.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't realize that part had-
Across the
next to
street.
it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's cruising.
Yeah, we've only focused on the marine part side, not not so much the golf course side.
Cool.
But yeah.
It's an interesting thing because I always think of golf courses as like Like when I grew up, it was very much,
Go
That way?
up.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was very much like country club, fancy people. And it's like always interesting to see it mashed up with a public park, which
Yeah.
feels like so accessible and like open to everyone. But the golf course still, I'm intimidated by it. Like it feels like this whole other world that I don't know about
Yeah.
for some reason.
I mean, they still have country clubs, like the one in Pelham. I haven't been to the one here. Has a really nice country club.
Oh, wow.
Really nice bathrooms.
Oh,
I can say I'm an expert of New York City Parks bathrooms.
Oh, I wish we had spent more time doing
Here's
it. But yeah,
one of my
how's that
favorite
Yeah.
bathrooms.
Oh, I didn't realize there was one here.
oh.
Yeah, it's a good one.
What's
Yeah.
so good about this bathroom?
Well, it's a single stall. It's,
Okay.
you know, it's there. It's kind of in the middle of the woods. It's on your way
Yeah.
in
Why
or
not?
out.
Why don't one of you do some recon, see if there's anybody in there?
oh,
Just real quick.
so we
just,
can do a little tour
just,
of the
yeah,
bathroom?
you can
Yeah.
take it in there, Jesse.
Okay.
It's really important, you know, bathrooms.
Oh,
when
gosh.
you work in the woods,
It's so
and when you're in the
important.
middle of nowhere, it's just
We're 110% with you.
yeah.
Well, check first. I don't want to.
Oh, good point.
Don't. Oh, it's too.
Let's wait.
Oh, we don't. We can go back in later.
Yeah, I think they're coming out.
I think this
But-
is an important part of our project too. So I think
It
this is really
is.
good coverage. We
Yeah. Well, also, we haven't really, I mean, probably in the intro that came before this for everyone, we have introduced you. But the reason why you know about Parks bathrooms so well is because you spend a lot of time working in the parks.
Yeah, that is very true. And this park, before I even worked for the Parks Department and NYC Natural Areas Conservancy, I was an intern with one of my professors who was doing her PhD, and she had a really big PhD for a PhD. She was like, I'm gonna go find these forest plots that another researcher had done 20 years before that in the 80s, and no, in the 90s, right? Because when was it? Anyway, a long time ago, and I'm gonna go, and this is before GPS times when the other person had done it.
Yeah.
So they had done these forest plots to study the health of the forest, and their directions of how to find these plots was mostly like 10 meters off the trail up to the big tulip tree. So like the
Oh,
big
gosh.
tulip tree
Yeah.
doesn't exist anymore. Or
Right.
like the small, whatever, 10 dBH oak tree, and that oak tree is like this big now.
Oh.
So anyway, this is when Tommy and I did that internship.
I remember, that's actually the only time I've ever been to Pelham Bay Park.
Oh,
But,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so we started here as interns, and we would take, Tommy was our friend and my
Yeah.
roommate at the time, and we would take the subway from Gowanus, and we had to be here at 8 in the morning, and
Oh my gosh.
it's all a blur how I did that summer, because she had a car and she had another intern that they would drive together, but the three of us, Tommy, me, and another friend, would take the subway to all these places every day. It was so hot, so mosquito-y, and like just, you know, getting to this bathroom was one moment of sanctuary.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
And that was my introduction. And
Right.
then, you know, it all got better after
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that, you know, that like got my attention and interest into doing this stuff. So I think
Nice.
we can peek in.
Here.
I feel
Here,
like if
take
you
it in.
can get through all of those things you just listed, like then you know that you're good for on a job. Like then that's what you
Yeah,
want.
and that was
Here we go into
oh,
this.
it's 2 stalls.
Oh, it is
Oh.
two. Okay, so
Upgrade.
there's.
I think
Two
it was 2
stalls.
stalls. I just forgot.
Oh, they have seats.
Yeah,
Whoa.
they have seats and
That's
usually
huge.
toilet
Not
paper.
all bathrooms have seats. There is toilet paper, 2 rolls in there.
Yeah, that's really important. You know, if you
And they're
ever,
clean. Toilet paper, seats.
they're not that used.
Oh, you know what though? This sink handle is one of the ones that has to like, you have to hold it on.
Oh yeah,
Not a big fan of that. There's soap.
Yeah.
And an accelerator.
Ooh.
don't turn it on. It's probably
You know,
loud.
it's
Pretty
funny.
good.
We were just talking before we turned on the camera how we weren't sure how much of the engagement we were going to talk about, but I did not think that this was going to be relevant, maybe ever. But here we are. So after I proposed to Jesse last week, we came out of the preserve, the Willow Lake Preserve, and we used a bathroom that was on the other side in the playground. And the bathroom, the New York City Park bathroom, smelled like incense.
Oh,
Wow.
And it was like, this is some weird special thing that's happening right now that like, I'm using the bathroom after I proposed and it's like magical in this bathroom. So
someone just set that up for you.
yeah, I was
That's
pretty pleased about
amazing.
that.
That is so fun.
But yeah, I mean, we are definitely, we use the park bathrooms every day,
That's
basically.
great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Parks and playgrounds. Like before, when we started this, we thought, since it wasn't going to be during COVID, we thought we'd be going into a lot of businesses and libraries for bathrooms. But parks and playgrounds, like general green spaces, have really been the savior.
Yeah, that's really cool because, you know, I work in natural areas and forests and wetlands, and that's always been my focus. And whenever, in the recent years when I've been more involved in parks budget and like understanding how the whole system works,
Yeah.
specifically last year when I listened to the hearings and all that, everyone is obsessed about bathrooms and toilet paper. It's like all the constituents really care about toilet
Yeah.
paper. And it's really important. I mean, you know, a forest is beautiful and it's a very important ecosystem, but if the bathroom is dirty,
Yeah.
like,
no one wants to come.
if the forest becomes degraded, not everyone is gonna notice. But if the
Right.
bathroom is dirty, everyone is gonna notice,
That's
and
a good
everyone is
point.
gonna talk about it, and everyone's gonna complain about it to
Oh.
city council.
That's
Yeah.
totally true. And like there's the potential that if the bathroom sucks or if there aren't enough, people are like going to the bathroom in the forest.
Yeah, that's
Which
a good
is then
point.
a whole nother, like that degrades the forest
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Now this one I think maybe is a national park. I don't know, you'd tell me, but the Jamaica Bay Preserve bathroom I remember is a very nice bathroom as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
But I don't know if that falls
that
under
is a national
yeah,
park. Yeah.
That one feels like
Is it in the nature center?
it's in the nature center.
Yeah.
It
That's a
feels like
really
you're going
nice
into like a
nature center.
children's library or
Yeah.
something. Like it's like heated and like
That's cool.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
real nice.
Yeah.
Another
Anyway.
good one is, this is not in a wetlands area, but a lot of the Central Park bathrooms, particularly I think the one that I've noted is the ancient playground bathroom. Feels like a 4-star hotel lobby bathroom.
Yeah.
It's got black and white tiles on the thing and like just, I don't know, it's clean as anything and all the
Wow.
amenities in there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Mike's been like doing bagel reviews, and about halfway through, we realized, oh, we should have been doing bathroom reviews too.
Well, I'm glad that we're talking about it.
Yeah, we're finally bringing it up.
Yeah.
Do you have any sense of like when they make the official change to later hours? Because, you know, 4 p.m. is when the bathrooms close
Oh.
in the winter time, but then it says like seasonal. But
Huh.
like, do you know if there's any actual time, or is it just kind of a judgment call?
Actually, no. I never knew that.
Yeah,
That they close at 4.
Yeah.
I hadn't, because I usually I would not be in a park.
After dark.
Yeah, or even before 4. Like I would be either back to the office.
You'd be getting home.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
getting home in some capacity.
Yeah,
But yeah, I didn't know that that's the thing.
yeah.
So, pivoting back to parks. Away,
Oh, we're not going to do an hour and a half bathroom podcast?
I mean, I guess we could. You guys want to do that?
No. I think it's time. Good instincts.
Would you tell us a little bit about what the jobs that you do within the park involves? Like, I know you've had so many different projects that you've worked on, and I'm leaving this kind of as an open-ended question. But like when you're physically working in like outside in the park, I know a lot of your work also is like research and on the computer and like data. But like when you're physically outside, like, will you give us a little insight into what that looks like?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe I'll give you, because I've been doing so many different things with different teams in the
Yeah.
past years, I'll give you a little like history of what I did. So
Yeah.
it all
Cool.
started with that internship. it was, we had to do a summer internship at some point in college, and I wanted to do it the last year, not after my sophomore year.
Yeah.
But then our friend Lou Wright, convinced me because he wanted to do an internship and stay in New York that summer. And our other friends, Hannah and Tommy, were in 129.
Yeah.
And their roommates were leaving, and they had 2 rooms for sublet.
Right.
So Lou convinced me and was like, you have to get an internship this summer. We'll all live in a really cool house, and it'll be really fun.
Yeah.
So I got convinced. I applied to this, field data collection internship.
Yeah.
With 2 professors that I really liked, and then got the internship, decided, saw the apartment. It was cool. It was a little dirty at the time. There was a
Not
lot
anymore.
there was a lot of...
This is the apartment you still live in.
Yeah.
129 13th Street.
Yeah.
11th Street.
11th rather, yeah.
It had like a lot of pieces of paper on the wall as art.
Right.
It was crazy. Anyway. And then Lou decided to go to Alaska
Right.
and bailed on me.
Oh my
Right.
gosh.
And yeah, so I ended up staying there. I ended up becoming really good friends with Hannah and Tommy, doing this internship with Tommy, and like really getting into it in a way that, I never thought I would be like a nerdy science person. I always really liked nature. I always really liked camping, but identifying every single plant and like getting really into the Latin names of things was all new to me.
Yeah.
And like Tommy and I would like speak in Latin together and annoy Hannah, because it was like learning a whole new language of plant language.
Yeah.
So that summer went by. It was really cool. We did some work with the Parks Department. It was during the Million Trees program, which Jesse's wearing a hat
Ooh, yeah.
from that time. And
Was that planned?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
nice. Well, the color looks really good. Yeah, so we did forest studies where we would go into certain parts of the forest that was getting restored, and we would kind of study the function of it and how big the plants were, how much they were growing, if there were any invasive plants around, and stuff like that. And
and what's an invasive plant? I mean, we've talked about it personally before, but I feel like that's an interesting thing.
yeah, that's a good question. Sorry, should we go? Let's go this way.
Okay, let's do
This
it.
looks like a very nicely
Nicely
newly
manicured.
done trail. Okay, so an invasive plant, it's basically a plant that is not local, not native to this area, but also acts as an invasive plant and kind of takes over. So it is from a different place with similar climate, but so it really thrives here.
Right.
And it creates a monoculture. So it's just one plant that takes over. So if you look at this forest, there's like 3 layers. There's the canopy trees up there. And those are the big mature trees. And then there's like the second generation, which is the, younger mid-story trees or shrubs.
Okay.
And then below, which on the ground cover, which there's not that much stuff yet, is where all the herbaceous plants are. It's where all the seeds germinate, and the newest generation comes up. So invasive plants are, they could be trees, they could be shrubs, they could be vines. A lot of them are vines here in New York City, and they kind of like come take over. They don't let anything on the ground to really germinate because they create a blanket, or they grow on young trees and kind of pull them down and kill them.
Oh, wow.
Or they're themselves are invasive trees, and create shade and don't let anything else grow. They kind of like take it all.
Yeah.
And then break this structure of the forest ecosystem, which is, all of these layers, and all these layers need to exist, and we need to have like a diverse ecosystem for it to be healthy and continue to exist. If everything was one plant and that one plant died, then we wouldn't have anything.
Right.
But there is a lot of like controversy with invasive. Not a lot, I guess. There are a certain group of people that don't think that we should manage, like we should intervene in that, which
I've heard this before too, like just let them sort it out on their own kind of thing.
And I feel like that's really, not thinking about the ecology and forest as a whole system.
Right. Well, and also, like, I don't know, from my perspective, knowing only, like, mostly what I've learned from you and a couple of our other friends, it seems like the invasive species, like, it's not like, oh, we should just let them be because plants have their own life, but it's like they're here because of humans, right?
Exactly.
Like, they're not here because they, like, naturally came over through nature.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. That's what I wanted to say. So this is wineberry. It's a type of rubus phenicolasis, that is actually really pretty, and it has, these are all thorns, and it has berries like raspberries, and birds love it. And because birds love it, they eat it and go poop it out of their places, and it just comes out everywhere. So that's another part of why we would really need to manage invasives, because they usually, if they're seed dispersed or they're dispersed with the wind, or if birds like them, they always have like tasty berries. Like, I eat wineberry.
Really?
And I call it like invasive species management. They're really tasty.
Where are they from originally, do you know?
I don't know, because we have native rubuses. We have native different types of like, there's a Pennsylvania rubus, blackberries, and stuff. I have an idea, but let me double check it.
Okay.
Anyway, so these guys don't really take over and like pull down a tree, but they just make a big blanket.
Gotcha.
Is there a name for plants that are considered somehow cohabitating in a way that isn't, invasive in quote? Like, what is the name for that?
There's a lot of non-native plants that don't act invasive, and you could manage them, or you could let them just be, because I don't believe that we need to have like 100% native ecosystem and native forest that is the same as what was in along 400, 500 years ago.
Right.
I don't, that's not my goal to like create.
Right.
But I do think that like any other thing, forests also need a keep up. And
right.
And because these are just small patches of nature in really densely populated areas, Van Cortlandt Park has 3 major highways.
Right.
Splitting it into like 7 different pieces.
Right.
Right. Which
so
is
it
crazy.
definitely needs extra maintenance too, for even just like trash cleanup and stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But so a lot of the work you do sometimes is like tracking the invasives and like figuring out a plan for what to do with them.
Yeah, so going back to like the long story.
Yeah, the timeline. Where are we now?
Yeah.
Where we did the internship, then I graduate, then I get a job like a week after college, which I had no idea. You know, I just like applied to this job. It was called a forest technician, and it was a seasonal 6-month-long summer job where you would basically do the same thing that I did with that professor. You go out, identify plants, do some plots, and do this method called entitation, which is a funny thing. You go out and you like draw entities of what different forest community types are and what plants you see in there.
Okay.
So it's a really fun job. And
that was with Parks, right?
that was with Parks. That was in 2012. I would walk around. My boss was Clara, which you guys know. She's really, I don't know, a friend now.
Another forester.
Yeah, and we had an intern that year, and we would just go around, look around, identify plants, note them down, and then make reports. So she actually did Van Cortlandt Park entitation as when she was first hired.
Oh.
And I did Riverdale Park, which is
Over here.
a couple of
Right.
blocks up there, and one of my favorite parks, really. So anyway, that happened in 2012, and then Hurricane Sandy hit
Right.
in November, and my line was supposed to end sometime before Christmas.
Right.
Then we got some, it was major storm cleanup. Everyone kind of got dispersed to do different work. Most people that knew how to manage contracts and contractors were doing street tree cleanup. I was still, pretty new.
Yeah.
So I walked around with a GPS, mapping every tree that was down.
Oh my gosh.
And had stopped a trail.
Wow.
In one way or another.
Wow.
Which was incredible.
Yeah.
I was just like alone in the woods, going to all these parks that I had never heard of, and just being like, like something like this would have been what I would have mapped.
Right.
This is older probably than 2012, but it's a tree that had covered this trail, and someone needed to come chop it up and make the trail open again.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of like mapping, like the process, is that like for one tree, does that take 30 seconds? Does that take 5 minutes? Does it take 4 hours? Like how long is it to like start to finish, like I have documented this instance?
Oh, so that's a good question. We have these super nerdy GPS units that are very accurate to the sub-meter. And they're like really bulky and yellow and have like an antenna on the head. And they have the program. Should we go up?
Sure.
They have a program called Esri ArcGIS on it, which is a spatial data program. And so you basically make a point of wherever you see it, and the big antenna collects all the location. It actually collects like 5 different points and then makes one point.
Oh wow.
From that, so it's like super accurate.
Whoa.
Cool.
Crazy thing, like when there's something important happening, like when there's the UN has something, or like the president is in town.
Yeah.
Satellites are all weird.
Yeah.
And I had no idea about that. I would like go out and be like, this GPS is not working.
Oh my God.
And then, I would hear that, it's because the satellites are being like monitored.
They like flip them or something so that people can't.
I don't know.
Whoa, that's really weird.
It's crazy, right? So anyway, that happened in...
So you have this advanced GPS system. Do you basically just like hit a button and then it's like done, next tree?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And for that, I didn't need to identify species. I didn't need to identify community types, nothing. Sorry, this is a good example of how like invasive plants kind of take over, and there's not a lot of other things growing around it.
And they're on the rocks too, right?
Yeah. Hi, Bee.
Huh.
Yeah.
So go on with the
timeline. So that was that was it. Throughout. So then that winter, then North Brother Island happened.
Oh.
Then I got I feel like, I don't know, maybe people like me or something. There was this old
You
grant.
map a good tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mapped all the good trees and was willing to just go alone in the woods and do stuff.
Yeah.
So someone who was the director of forest restoration was like, there's this really old grant that we have, and I need someone to help me manage the contract work and getting permits and stuff, because the grant was to do some restoration work on North Brother Island.
Okay.
Which is an island here in the Bronx, in Hell's Gate, and it's an abandoned island. Last time I think anyone was on it was the 60s. There was a tuberculosis hospital on it, and yeah, so there's like all these really cool buildings on there, but because no one has been there, managed any of the nature around it, it's very overgrown.
Right.
So I started working on that, and I think that was kind of the doorway of me becoming this person that did a lot of data collection on what the condition of areas that needed to get some sort of attention and management were.
Right.
So like, what were the management concerns in each of these areas, and then kind of work with the people that do the work on those areas to prioritize it. So during this timeline, Parks also started a nonprofit to, like, the sister nonprofit for natural areas. It was called the Natural Areas Conservancy, and they did the first like ecological assessment.
Okay.
Where they studied all the salt marshes, all the forests, all the freshwater wetlands, doing plots. And forest plots, their forest plots were a 10-meter circle.
Okay.
Where they would just, study all the trees and all the shrubs and vines and herbs and any kind of human impacts, soils, leaf litter, all of these stuff. And they created like the first citywide database of all of the condition of our nature.
Right.
And this was a recent development?
This is still happening, but 2012 the conservancy was created. 2013 and 14 the major data collection happened. And then there's, last year there were a couple of parks that didn't have ecological assessments. So.
And were ecological assessments something that was new within the field, or just had never happened in New York City?
A comprehensive citywide assessment we did not have that data.
Right.
Wow.
And I don't know of any other cities that have that level of data in all of their natural areas.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, there might be other cities that have it. We should go this way.
Okay.
But I don't know of them.
Yeah. And it's also cool just to think about, the North Brother Island, you're referencing an island that doesn't have any regular traffic to it. It's cool to think, A, that the city is spending time on areas that don't have any actual, intrinsic civic value. They have value, but you know what I mean? It's not being used, but it's still, we're deciding that it has value.
Oh,
Right.
absolutely. North Brother Island is a really important ecological little body of island because it's on the migratory bird way. And there's actually two islands. There's South Brother Island, which has no buildings on it, and North Brother Island.
Oh.
And birds, Audubon Society goes there every year, and they do a little study of if the birds are coming back or not. The birds stopped going to North Brother Island because it had started to get a little too invaded, and they would only go to North Brother. So that was one of the reasons we started working there. And I think that's going back to the bird thing, that's an important point. A lot of the work that we do is to create habitat for wildlife.
Right.
And one of the major wildlife in New York City are birds.
Right. There's
So-
like 300 species or something, right, that come through every
Yeah,
year?
something crazy. I wish I knew birds. Every year I'm like, I'm gonna learn birds this year.
Yeah.
And I never do, because plants are a lot easier. They
stay still.
They stay still.
That's right.
And then
That's
you
true.
can open your guide and just like go, when they have leaves and stuff. Some people can identify things when they're leafless.
Sure.
I'm not good at that.
Well, there's still time,
yeah,
and
these are
there's a lot to
tulip trees.
learn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
They kind of go straight, like lollipops up.
What are they?
Tulip trees.
Yeah, these are tulip trees.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
This is a cool one with the double.
That it's double.
Yeah.
Aw, they're best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of related to birds, that these spaces where most people can't get to also, there's only two ways to get there. It's to fly as a bird or to take a boat, right? So you were going out to North Brother Island,
On a boat.
that was part of your commute, not even like a ferry, a boat that you had to actually
Yeah.
take, right? Or someone would row, either you would row it or someone else would row you.
Oh, it was a motorboat, but
Oh,
yes.
it was a motorboat?
Yeah, Hell's Gate is crazy. Hell's Gate, that's why it's called Hell's Gate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I would not want to row. I'm sure people have rowed to North Brother Island.
Yeah. But it's safer to do motorboat.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's funny because there was a photographer who had been, before my time, had gotten a permit and started taking photos of North Brother in different seasons.
Yeah.
And he had a friend who had a boat that lived in Virginia or something, and the friend would bring the boat, and they, you're not allowed to go there because first of all it's liability, it's not open to the public, and you're not allowed to go in the buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And they would need a parks person to be there,
Right.
and enforce, and I would be that person. But it was at the end of the project, so he really knew the island so much better than me. I was just, really excited to be
That's so cool.
on this island, and he had been there for many years.
Wow.
And really knew how to get around and all the trails and stuff. So he mostly showed me around.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and then the book got published maybe 2014 or sometime around then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, these really important things about preserving habitats for animals and also just preserving plant habitats for the sake of the plants, and it's things that, people that might be more financially minded or business minded might not see as a priority, but we still need to fund these sorts of things. How does it work? Is it is it mostly just tax dollars are immediately earmarked, or are there actual pleas to people that might have interest in birds or interest in tulip trees or something like that in order to give money? What does that cocktail look like of funding?
That's a great question. So New York City Parks funding is all tax dollar funding. I mean, it's a mayoral agency.
Mm-hmm.
They get grants sometimes, but one of the main parts of creating Natural Areas Conservancy to have a nonprofit partner was to bring funding to natural areas. It was built similar to
Sorry, I have to take a picture of this key real quick.
Oh, cool. Is that a thing?
That's a thing we do.
Nice.
Sorry to interrupt.
Go on.
Yeah, so it was built on the same model as Central Park Conservancy, where, in the 80s, Central Park was really degraded, and the person that was the park administrator, Betsy Barlow Rogers, decided to create a conservancy because Central Park is, surrounded by a lot of money, and
Right.
bring that funding into the
ecosystem of the park.
Into the maintenance of the park, really. And Central Park is, one of the most successful models of that public-private partnership.
Yeah.
Prospect Park Alliance is the same. A lot of, Fort Greene, a lot of these parks, North Brooklyn, Inwood, and Highbridge have a, for Tryon Conservancy, I don't really know the name of it. But yeah, so Natural Areas Conservancy was the same idea, but it's across 10,000 acres.
Wow.
So it's a lot harder to kind of sell that, because you can't be like, this is Prospect Park or this is Central Park. It has a defined boundary.
Yeah.
You live right across it. Give me money.
Don't you want
and
it
I
to
would
be...
plant trees, and I would remove these thorny vines. You know?
Right.
And that's one of the main reasons that they did the main ecological assessment, was to kind of get an idea. You asked about dollar value, to get an idea of the condition of how these areas were just ecologically, and then put a dollar value on how much it costs to restore them and conserve the good conditions of them. Because Parks has, more than 30 years of experience doing restoration and conservation work. So it was building on that experience and kind of looking at all the conditions to see where was in a really bad condition, and you needed to bring an outside contractor to really completely restore it. Or if somewhere, a lot of the parts of this park are really good, and they just need a little bit of maintenance, a little bit of going through and sweeping some invasive vines, or going through and doing, some sort of native plant planting. But there are some parts of the park that are also, it could be very patchy because it's an urban area.
Right.
Right.
Well, I guess I can imagine too, having that full map of the whole city, it might make it easier to be like, well, if we take care of this little thing that maybe costs money but not as much, it'll save you from having to do this huge thing that we really need to do over here. But if we had just done this 20 years ago, we wouldn't even be in this position. I feel it makes it clear for the people that have the money, an easier way to understand what people are talking about.
Yeah, a good comparison that I've heard a lot is comparing it with the MTA and the subways. That the subways could have been not as bad if they had been invested in at the time that they weren't this bad. And our forests generally in the city are pretty native, and that overstory, that canopy layer is good. Yeah. But then the next generation of trees are not as native and as healthy. Just looking at it on a citywide level, of course, it's different park by park. Right. So and I guess now is the time to do that investment. Because that next generation is going to ultimately become the overarching canopy at some point. Yeah, and
so is that the? I'm sorry to interrupt. Is that the kind of the pitch to the private sector, so to speak? Like how is it that you motivate people to say yeah, this is important for me to give to make that happen? Is it because is the next generation one of the big cornerstones of trying to get cash in?
Yeah, I think a lot of people care about that. The way that Natural Areas Conservancy kind of approached this was, they created the citywide ecological assessment, and then made management plans. So first, the one that I worked on was the Forest Management Framework, which was a 25-year plan. It was a partnership between Parks and NAC, and they, made this. It's an ask of how much it will cost to restore all of and conserve all of the forests in the next 25 years, and it's only $300 million. Oh wow! For 25 years, it's
for all of it.
For all
that's
of it.
Actually,
that's 7,300 acres of forest.
Yeah.
thinking about how much a bathroom costs
Yeah.
to build,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not a lot.
No, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at like what our total city budget is in a year.
Yeah.
Like it's tens of billions, right? Our city. Well, we've done the city budget thing. I don't know if I can't remember it right now, but
well, Parks budget
It's huge.
is less than 1%
Yeah.
of the city's budget.
Wow.
right.
And with the cuts, I think this year is like even less than
Even
that.
less.
Less than 0.5% now. Yeah, so Mike, to your question of how do you sell it, I think that's a really hard question because I think each funder has different goals and different motivations, but I think the way that the Conservancy pitched it was, we're going to make these management plans. There's a forest management framework. There's a trails program. And right now they're going to publish a wetlands management framework. Actually, I want to go and show you guys the skunk cabbage there.
Okay.
Okay.
But let's finish this thought.
Okay.
And then pitching those to, different funders or getting funding from different, both private and also, the city council.
Right.
So that kind of goes back to that timeline. So when I was at the Conservancy, we were creating this framework. I was working on creating a protocol to kind of figure out how do we measure change to report on this 25-year plan.
Right.
And created another assessment, like a rapid assessment, that we would look pre-work and past work and kind of compare the work that was done. And the city council, then there was a coalition that was built, kind of spearheaded by New Yorkers for Parks, and
Right.
it's called Playfair. And the Playfair coalition, did a lot of advocacy and got a lot of funding from the city council. This is in FY20, so in 2019. And $4 million of that came to implement the forest management framework to us, to natural resources. And that was, that was a lot because it was, in that framework, there is like a breakdown of how much it would cost to do each thing each year. But the whole idea of that framework is that it's a 25-year plan.
Right.
And it's a long-term thinking, and it's like, let's not just do a little bit of thing over here, a little bit of thing over there. And to give like the first year of it without any other promise, it was really hard to implement. It took us a long 6 months to like hire people. We hired 43 people, and then of course COVID happened, and then everyone had to. The funding didn't get refunded. So and I think that is part of why the nonprofits, they both do advocacy with other places like New Yorkers for Parks, but also the private funding is really important.
Right.
Yeah.
But I can't really see all of that framework being something that a nonprofit would, that the city would fully fund.
Yeah.
I really hope that it would be, but I don't know.
Well, even like what you're saying, the fact that, every single year in the summer, right, you're like, okay, are they going to fund our next year?
I know.
Like, I don't know if I have a job past July. I don't know
Yeah.
if the people that work for me are going to be here past July. Like, if they don't fund what we're asking for.
Yeah.
And it's like up to the people that vote on the budget and like what they feel like is right for their constituents and to keep their job. And like that's so many layers of like a house of cards that it makes more sense to just have like steady money that know that like this rich person wants parks to be cool, so like they're gonna give $100,000 every year and then tell their friends and like or whatever it is, like that's
Central Park
more reliable.
Conservancy has that, which
I
is
believe
great.
it. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, let's go
look
inside.
at the skunk cabbage.
I like the name of it.
Yeah. Okay, let me.
I also feel comfortable going off-roading with you. I don't know if I would like,
We have a guide.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we saw these yesterday.
Oh,
Aren't they
yeah.
cool?
You can tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, so these are skunk cabbage. They're one of the first plants that that become green. You know, sometimes when there's still even snow on the ground, you can see them sprouting
really?
out. Yeah, and they're a little yellow, a little purple when they come out. It's this area is a seasonally wet area, so Cortlandt Park has a lot of forest and a lot of freshwater wetlands.
Okay.
And you know, a lot of forested wetland. And this area, you can see, you know, it's pretty wet, and skunk cabbage really likes wet conditions. So to me, this plant is just a sign of spring. You know, you can see it and you're like, okay, this winter is gonna be over, and it's one of the first things that becomes green. And yeah, it's native. It's pretty cool the way that it's distributed throughout.
Yeah. And it just pops up like that on
and
its
it pops
own?
out. Yeah.
Can you eat it?
I mean, I was going to say skunk cabbage doesn't sound like the most appetizing thing.
I don't think so.
Okay, but like, maybe like skunks eat it, and that's why it's called skunk cabbage? Or does it smell like skunks?
I don't know.
Oh.
Does it smell like skunk? Doesn't smell. It smells like green.
Oh.
My guess is it probably tastes like skunk smells.
Maybe.
Ew.
That would be, I
That
mean,
would be gross.
That wouldn't be great.
that's a really convenient way though to let you know that this thing that looks delicious is in fact
yeah.
not.
Because it does look delicious.
Yeah.
Like, it
Yeah.
looks like great pieces of collard or lettuce or something.
Yeah.
You're like, I know it's skunk cabbage, so I don't think it looks
Yeah,
delicious.
I don't really look at this and say delicious. I look at this and say, oh, yay, it's spring.
Yeah.
Even though there's not a lot of leaves around.
Yeah, it
This
is
guy
crazy
knows.
how like bright and vibrant it is too, especially because there's like nothing else
Yeah.
to look at that's like that.
Yeah.
It really like makes a show. I'm so glad to know what it is, because yeah, we saw it yesterday and we were like, did someone plant their vegetables here?
No.
Yes, that's one.
This is also an invasive that I know you can smell. Garlic mustard. Smells pretty garlicky.
Oh,
Yeah.
can you eat that?
Yeah, people
That's like-
make pesto with it.
Right. Is it like the same as a mustard green? no?
No, it's more like basil-y, not basil actually. It's like pretty garlicky. It's
Oh,
like
cool.
fresh garlic greens.
That sounds good.
And yeah, it's again another plant that comes up early, and we do some garlic mustard pulling with volunteers. Volunteers really like it because it's easy to identify. It's,
Right.
you know, early spring event.
Right. You
And
pull it because you
pull
want
it,
to get it out of the way. It's
and
like a weed.
the first year it doesn't have seeds, but the second year it has seeds, and you know, you want to pull it before it goes to seed because it really disperses
Oh.
everywhere.
We can hear we're getting near the vehicles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Should we try to cross over?
Yeah,
the
we should. Yeah.
Sure.
Highway.
The audio will be a
Not
little
great
bit of
right
an
there.
adventure, but we should cross over.
Yeah. It's wild to be, I mean, I feel like this year especially, even like having been your friend and living with you for so long and like hearing all about the parks, like actually experiencing them and like walking to all of them, it's so crazy and amazing how much access to nature we have in this like insanely dense concrete urban setting, how you can just like get on the subway or walk down the street and be like in this space that's actually a forest.
I know, and yeah, I'm so glad that you're experiencing that. As a friend of mine who, you know, is not in my work field, that makes me so happy.
Yeah.
You know, texting with both of you guys about these places that I've gone to so many times, and I have like, you know, I love them, and to have you guys just go visit them and then we can talk about it is just like, it's a huge joy creator.
Yeah.
Well, it's an affirmation of your work too, you know? It's like you go and you do your work, but you don't necessarily see people appreciating it, but you get to hear that it does happen, you know?
Yeah.
And the people, or, you know, or if the people that I see appreciate it, I don't have personal connections
Right.
to them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's made me just like understand what you do more too. Like, it's like put it all just like in more of like a map in my brain. Not that I didn't understand generally what you were doing, but like now I can actually point to it and be like, oh, this amazing space. It's not just like a park. It's not just like a little playground or something. It's like this insane space that you're making sure stays beautiful and like safe for itself.
Yeah. Well, we're about to cross the road now, and we, you know, actually talked about this topic with your partner on a previous podcast episode with Bahij on the BQE and Robert Moses. Yeah, so it's, you know, I've been thinking about it this week because the Bronx is very intertwined with these major roads, and you got to walk around them or under them, and it's almost beyond our comprehension to know what the city would be like without these things, you know?
Yeah, and actually Cortlandt was a Dutch family's land.
Right.
That was all one piece. And
oh wow.
Yeah, before all these highways, the 3 highways that cut through it. So yeah.
Let's give a moment of silence for these cars. I don't know if we'll be able to hear ourselves. So that's the Henry Hudson Parkway, ladies and gentlemen. I'm definitely not in the mood or in the interest of villainizing that experience, but it is pretty amazing. You can go an hour with just being in this very quiet environment, and then here we are, this very different situation.
Yeah. Well, also, after having walked for this
7,000 miles?
Yeah, we're getting there.
Almost. And getting so used to the slow pace of walking, I actually took a car up here the other day, and it was terrifying. Like, it was so scary to be on the Jackie Robinson and then to be on the 678, whatever that is. Like, he was like so fast and like so windy, and I was like, is he a bad driver, or am I like just used to walking?
That's so funny.
I actually don't know. It might have also just not been a great driver. But it's so, it was shocking to the system.
Yeah.
I want to go back to your timeline. Did we skip a step between North Brother and...
Okay, so the step we skipped was before I went to Natural Areas Conservancy. My grant line ended, and there was another grant that was kind of like, again, it was a bunch of different sources of funding that sorry, let me just think about this.
Yeah.
It was mapping large marine debris that had been washed onto the salt marshes of New York City. So New York City has 3,400 acres of salt marsh.
Wow.
Gosh.
For New York City Parks land.
Okay.
You know? So parkland is 10,000 acres of natural area, 7,300 and 3,400, 7,300 forests and a little over 3,000 salt marshes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And and it was going out again to these marshes and mapping where there was debris.
Mm-hmm.
And debris was like, really big boats that had been washed on to onto the marsh either after Sandy or any kind of storm, and
Right.
big things that were damaging the salt marsh.
Right.
Is like a shopping cart, is that too small? Or
That's too small.
Okay.
Yeah, not something that you could just manually pick up and take away.
Stuff that you had to like hire a crew to like manage, right?
Well, a contractor. So there was this
Okay.
contractor who had this crazy machine that had a crane on it, and the crane had like a 25-foot reach.
Okay.
So the whole point of me being there was to make sure that the marsh doesn't get damaged in the process of removing this large debris. You don't just like drag it out, or you
Right.
don't pull it or anything. And so he would come with this like boat that had a crane on it, and then open the crane and go and like grab the boat and pull it and bring it on the barge.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was really fun. That was less than a year that I did that. I started in like February, and all of the marshes were frozen, so it was really
Wow.
easy for me to walk around. It was really cold, and I would be bundled up again with that GPS, go like map, put down the exact location and like count an estimate of size of where these things were.
Yeah.
And then in the summer go with that contractor and pick them up.
It was always the same guy, the
Yeah.
contractor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and there were a bunch of jokesters. It was like this guy that was, they would make fun of me because my whole thing was like, oh, no, don't drag it. Like, I would like take photos.
Yeah.
So they made a sign. They had a job before that in the Boston area, and they made a sign for me that was like the Mosh Mashes, like big piece of wood. They were like, here comes the Mosh Mashes, and I was like, no. It was funny.
That's cute.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that was part of the timeline that we skipped. And
Yeah.
then it was Natural
And
Areas
then-
Conservancy,
right.
and then Parks.
And then now you're back at Parks, right?
Yeah. So when that Playfair funding got money, I came back to manage that program, and now that the funding of that went away, now I'm doing a sea level rise study.
Yeah.
Looking at areas that marshland that is going to be affected by sea level rise by the year 2085, and
Wow.
kind of see where there's room for these marshlands to migrate. So it's a lot of like desktop analysis.
What would you say for people who are listening to this and being like, wow, Leila's a lot of really cool shit, and like I think I want to like help. Like I have a job already, but like what are the volunteer opportunities? How does someone pursue doing something like this on a fun basis?
Yeah, so New York City Parks has a whole team dedicated to stewardship, so the NYC Parks Stewardship team, and they run volunteer events throughout the year.
Okay.
So they have, street tree care, forest care, marsh care, trail care.
Yeah.
They do all of it.
Yeah.
Right now it's the planting season,
Yeah.
and almost all of the planting that we do is done by volunteers. So, if you Google
fun.
NYC Parks Stewardship, it's kind of divided up by all the boroughs. So
Yeah.
you can click on where you want to go
Yeah.
and pick a place to go plant native trees and shrubs
Cool.
in restored places. And then, the marsh work is different depending on, what's going on, or what stage that marsh is. A lot of times is trash pickup, sometimes is putting up goose fencing, so the geese don't come and eat the marsh that was planted. Sometimes it's trail work could be anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's a really fun team to work with. Everyone there is really dedicated to, everyone that I've ever worked with are amazing people,
Yeah.
people that love what they do and are fun to hang out with, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like that world really, because it's so specific, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's also outdoorsy and it's not, I don't know that anyone would go into parks and just be like, yeah, I just want a regular office job. I don't really care about this.
Even though you do need regular office jobs to be able to sustain stuff.
Sure.
But even that is fun because you're working with nature in the city or
Right.
public parkland in the city.
Yeah.
Ooh, what's that?
Oh, that's the grave site of
What?
the Van Cortlandts.
Yeah.
And
The family?
yeah, no,
Oh,
they're
I've
not
never
all
seen
still
this.
there, but a couple of the family is still there, and also their priest is buried there.
Wow.
Yeah, we can walk down there in a second.
And at some point, what was the story, Mike? At some point during the Revolutionary War?
Yeah, there were some records that were stored there to protect it from the British, from the New York City
'Cause they were
archives.
Dutch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the Van Cortland, when they knew the British were invading, one of the Van Cortland family people secretly got the New York City records and just visited their family crypt and hid them in there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is that why?
They're not there anymore.
Is that why they don't have any tombstones?
Oh, well, the tombstones were taken down in the 70s because people were
Freaked out.
vandalizing them
Oh.
and stealing stuff. And
And then this is the parade grounds, which we get a
This
nice
is
view
where
here.
I
It's nice
met
to see it
Jane
from up here.
Goodall.
What?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
On these rocks or down in the?
down there.
I mean,
She didn't
it's
come on
equally crazy. I gotta be
Was
honest.
she
but-
giving a talk, or was she just
Yeah.
happen to be here?
No, she was giving a talk. It was an
Okay.
event for her. She has a program called something Roots.
The thing with the kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one school in the Bronx is part of that program.
Oh, cool.
So I think she visit. This is the day that I decided to be a vegetarian.
When you met Jane Goodall, I remember that.
Yes, she was. She always brings that stuffed monkey with her.
Oh.
And this time she brought a stuffed cow with her and Mr. Moo.
Oh.
And she was like, yeah, this is Mr. Moo, and I just wanted. Most people there were young. You know,
Yeah.
they were high school, middle school. It's I just wanted everyone to know that this is how, your everyday decisions makes an impact on the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
And eating meat has a really big impact on the environment. And it's your choice to do it or not do it. And I was like, oh my God, why do I eat meat? I love meat.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I feel like I had done a couple of attempts before that.
Yeah.
But that day I was like, I should really.
Jane is right.
Jane is right.
Mr. Moo's right.
Mr.
That's
Moo is right.
interesting.
Jane is right, and I should really stop eating meat. But
I didn't realize that. I do remember that happening. I always thought you became a vegetarian after the wedding in West Virginia.
Oh, that.
But I guess that
That
was
was
that
one of the
before, or
first
was that
attempts.
after? Okay, that was the
before.
first attempt. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had. Yeah. That wedding was crazy.
Here, let's go down to the vault.
Then there was one time my friend made what's it called? Tartar.
Oh,
beef
yeah.
tartar. Too much of it.
Oh.
And I
Too
like
much tartar. You're on a prank show called Too Much Tartar.
too much tartar. I had too much tartar, and I was like, I can't eat meat. And yeah, I think Jane was maybe the third.
The final.
But then, now I still eat meat when I'm like traveling.
Right.
Or,
Just vacation meat.
yeah, and I try not to be difficult about it, but.
Well, I think especially if you're hearing it, like, it sounds like the way that Jane explained it was that, like, just be aware that, like, everything you choose has an impact.
Yeah.
But that's like, that applies to, like, literally everything you do.
Oh,
There you go.
thank you.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, and if it's, the meat is made with, well, it's done sustainably, I think.
What do you think about the lab
Right.
meat? Are you on board, or does it freak you out?
I'll
Like,
try it.
Yeah. I feel like one of the things that I would want to like be, hesitant to give. Like I like cheeseburgers, and like I feel like that's the perfect thing for lab grown meat, right? Like
Yeah,
how's
yeah.
it going to look any different?
Yeah.
Or taste any different?
Yeah, that's true.
I'm freaked out by it, but I'll also try it.
Yeah.
And it also sounds like something that makes sense. I'm just like definitely in the mindset of like, I don't understand this.
Yeah.
What is this
Yeah.
plastic meat? What are you trying to feed me?
I'll
But like also then
try
I
it.
like think about it one step further and I'm like, I don't know what my meat is anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
True.
so
Yeah. I mean, I try not to be super extreme. I feel like being extreme in anything, like if we only had lab meat,
yeah,
is that healthy? I don't know. Like, is
Yeah.
it healthy? Is it
right.
okay to do that?
I guess having a balance. I mean, it's actually kind of related to like what you do for the parks and the
Yeah.
forests too. It's like having a balance and being like, well, I can cut back some of this, but maybe I'll leave a little bit. Either because it's like I really enjoy it and that creates some sort of joy, or like maybe it is sort of good in one small way. It's just like not too much.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I feel like that can be applied to like our lives too.
Yeah, I mean, the meat industry is really bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, those people in West Virginia that have the chickens, I eat their chickens. It's really
Yeah.
chill.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna help them out again.
Right. It was too much for your
Too much.
brain to handle, right?
Yes.
But the chicken
I'm
itself
glad
is
I
good.
did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to ask you one question while we still have you, and you might not be able to nail down just one.
Oh.
So if you need to give a small cluster, that's fine. But best park per borough.
Oh.
Oh, that's really hard.
That's why I said just the three that come to your head for each borough. Is that enough? Is that sufficient?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I'm not gonna say about Cortlandt Parks because we're already here.
Okay.
Okay. If you
So
don't
that's
want to.
obviously a good one.
Okay, sure.
So let's say Pelham Bay Park because it has
Okay.
everything. It has
Yeah.
forest, it has wetlands, it has a beach, it
Yeah.
has the biggest parking lot in the world. Not really, but like a really big parking lot. Yeah, it has a lot of deer, which are, killing the forest. Then Riverdale Park. It's
Okay.
like
Okay.
a little cutesy.
Yeah.
I love it.
We'll be there next
By
week.
the
a little bit.
water.
Yeah.
And then Seton Falls Park. Seton Falls Park
Oh.
is really nice. It's pretty small,
Yeah.
not so far from here.
Okay.
It's like between here and Pelham.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I really like that
Nice.
park.
Here,
So next is Queens.
Yeah, here's a quick look at the vault. This is where the Van
Yeah.
Cortlandts were buried until the 1880s when they moved, the family started getting buried in Woodlawn. But there are people that are interred here. And the markers and monuments were removed after vandalism in the 60s. But it's still a very impressive building.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys been in the house yet?
No, we haven't been. We've
No.
walked past it. We might see it before the end of this.
Yeah, they let us in.
Okay,
Okay,
Queens.
so Queens
Queens.
next.
Queens. Well, one of them has to be in the Rockaways,
Oh, sure.
right?
I don't know.
Sure. I mean, it's up to you, but
Yeah. First I'm gonna say Alley Pond Park because I was recently
Okay.
That's a
there.
great one, yeah.
And also has everything.
Tallest
Yeah.
trees in the city, right?
Biggest tree.
Biggest tree. Okay.
Yeah, like biggest
Big around?
DBH. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What is it?
Diameter of breast height.
Okay.
That's how you measure the width
The width.
of a tree.
Cool.
Yeah, so let's say Alley Pond
Okay.
and then Cunningham. I really like
Ooh,
Cunningham
that's a
Park.
good one too.
Oh, which
yeah.
one's Cunningham?
Cunningham is close to Alley Pond. It's like, if you look on a map, it's like 4 separate parts, again, split by roads and highways.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
We've used the bathroom in Cunningham Park quite a bit.
Okay. Okay. It's kind of like the lower part, the like south of Valley Pond.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I think I can picture it.
And yeah, Cunningham, again, with that first professor when I was an intern, we did these plots that were covered in multiflora rose,
Okay.
which is a really thorny vine, an invasive vine, and it was really hard to work there. And it was like, you know, hot in summer.
Yeah.
And in the past couple of years, Parks has had a contractor work there, and currently we're planting it. You know, contract work takes a couple of years of invasive species removal and then kind of managing and restoring the area, and
Right.
then you put the native plants in to regenerate it with native plants. So right now that native planting is happening, and I mean, it's not that far from you guys. If you guys want to come to one of the plantings, they're
Yeah.
usually on the weekends,
Oh,
Cool.
nice.
but it's in the next 2 weeks.
Cool.
So Cunningham and Alley. Okay, now the third one has to be in the Rockaways
Okay.
because I have to be fair.
Uh,
You know Bayswater Park?
Oh,
I think,
yeah.
oh
I
gosh.
think I'm gonna say Bayswater
Cool.
Park because I did a project there with this artist and we did a mural. Again, this was like one of those crazy things that we really wanted to like restore the natural area.
Yeah.
And the funder was like, how about you guys do a mural? And we were like, I'm
You're
an
like, that's not
ecologist.
really- Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do a mural. They were like, we'll fund it. And we were
Oh my
like,
gosh.
great.
Wonderful.
Sounds exactly like what I want to do.
Right.
And then it ended up being really fun, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was, I ended up working with one of the GCC, Guan's Canal Conservancy people who's
Oh,
a
cool.
muralist. And she did a wonderful mural. She studied the ecosystems, all plants and animals,
Yeah.
and made a mural on both sides of this road, and you can see it from the street and from the park side.
Oh, cool.
And then made these little kind of beaks or paw paintings from the mural to the entrance of the natural trail,
Oh,
that's
which
fun.
is
cute.
it like that connected the whole work.
Oh, I like
Yeah.
that.
So Bayswater is
Bayswater. That's the
We-
3 for Queens.
We're gonna have to go back to Bayswater at some point because the only day we were there, or the only we went there a couple times, and it must have been July. It was
So buggy.
We got
Hey.
murdered.
Like we had to
Like-
run. We had to
Yeah.
run. We were like, it's fine. Like it's fine. We're like, this is gonna be, it's fine.
Yeah,
And then at some
it's
point
not.
we were like,
Look at all this
we need to
goose poop.
run. Like
Yeah.
we actually need to. We can't like walk. We need to
Yeah.
run out of here. But
Yeah.
it was really pretty.
That's
Yeah.
funny. I went to a community meeting before we were doing the mural to like present the mural
Yeah.
and the work. And one person stood up and said that about his daughter, but he said it in a really weird way. He said like, my daughter was attacked in the park. And you know, everyone was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
by mosquitoes. Oh my God. We're like, yeah, we know that.
Oh my
But you made it
gosh.
sound really weird.
Right.
Well, I think after we plucked them out of us, literally. I mean, there's some invasive mosquitoes. I think it
Oh,
was
yeah.
the
Yeah.
tiger. or
Tiger,
zebra. Yeah.
tiger
Yeah.
zebra, one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they like
They're
get
kind
stuck.
of dumb. You can kind of
No,
kill
exactly,
them.
and that's they like get stuck on you because you kill them and they don't they don't fly away for like it's
Yeah.
very strange.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's Queens.
Anyway, where are we going
So
next?
that's great.
Brooklyn,
Well, let's
Manhattan.
go Brooklyn.
Okay.
Prospect.
Okay.
Okay.
Marine Park.
Oh yay!
Yeah. Okay.
Love Marine Park.
Nice.
And then Brooklyn. I really like Fort Greene Park too, even though it doesn't
Really?
have natural areas.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
just
it's nice.
Has a really nice vibe, you know?
Yeah.
Park, yeah.
Yeah, I like I like it.
All right.
Not everything has to be natural area.
It doesn't.
No, not at all.
Well, I also feel like kind of Marine Park and Fort Greene like balance each other out.
Yeah, true.
Well, I mean, take a look at this thing. We're not even really addressing the fact that we're in this giant parade ground area.
No, that's true.
Like this doesn't. Where else? I mean, it's kind of in Prospect Park, but it's not
The
flat
Great
like this.
Lawn.
Like there's not really
I
anything
mean, it's
like
kind of like
this.
the Great
Yeah.
Lawn.
The
But
Great
this
Lawn
is
in
cool that
Central
it's
Park,
like
yeah.
near the city too.
Yeah.
But okay, so then are we doing Staten Island or Manhattan?
Let's do Staten Island.
Okay.
Okay, Staten Island Conference House Parks.
Yeah.
Okay. All the way in the south.
All the
right?
Most southern tip of New York State, actually.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
cool.
makes sense.
The end of the world, as some people call it. That's one of my favorite parks.
Cool.
And Long Pond Park also.
Oh yeah.
Really close to it.
Yeah.
Staten Island, has a lot of great parks.
So
It does.
many.
It's really hard to
Contrary to what some of the people
Yeah.
watching or listening might think.
It's
I
basically
know.
like all a park.
pick. It's it's a giant green little.
What's the
spot.
Olmsted one that's escaping me right now? Fairly
Silver
close
Lake?
to the ferry.
Is Silver Lake?
Silver Lake?
Silver Lake.
Yeah, Silver
yeah,
Lake.
Silver Lake. Yeah, Silver Lake is cool, but I think for my third one, I would pick Highbridge Park.
Oh, okay.
Highbridge, part of the Greenbelt. It's really pretty.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
has a high point. It has nice trails in it.
Right.
But then all those northern, you guys went to Goodhue.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
that place was so cool.
It was private. It was a private camp, and it recently became Parkland.
Yeah. And the Clove Lake was right there too, right?
Yeah, Clove Lake is
That was cool.
also close to there. Yeah, Staten Island is.
And Great Kills was the first thing that I thought of.
Great Kills is actually not NYC Park.
Oh, it's not?
Well,
Oh, right,
Great
it's
Kills
like,
is NPS,
Right. It's part
And
of the National
Park
yeah.
Service, but there are pieces of it on the shore that are Parks property.
Okay.
But I think what you're thinking of is
the part.
natural.
No, you're right. It is the part that's like
Yeah.
connected to. Yeah.
One place I have not been in Staten Island is Fort
Oh.
Wadsworth.
Oh, yeah, it's
Oh.
great.
There's goats there.
Yeah.
I know.
Maintenance goats.
Maintenance
Yeah.
goes.
I love them.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's round it
Okay,
up with
so-
Manhattan. I
yeah.
know that can be a hard one.
Manhattan, Central Park, Inwood,
Inwood.
Fort Tryon.
Boom.
Oh, nice.
You're ready.
Easy.
Highbridge too.
Yeah,
Oh.
Oh, Washington Square Park too.
Oh.
I love Washington
right.
Square
Well, that's like it's so different vibe,
I
you know?
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Washington Square is almost like Fort Greene, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
on that level.
Well, you're
Yeah.
allowed to have like dozens. I'm asking you a very
No,
hard
totally.
question.
Yeah. You did say like, don't ask me this question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here we are.
Here we are. I
Here's
think
that house.
as good a place as any to conclude with you today, the Van Cortlandt house.
Yeah.
Oh.
Beautiful Georgian style home.
Yeah, and it's amazing because we've only walked like, what, a quarter of the park?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Even?
Not
We
even.
didn't
Yeah.
even go to the other side.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
There's a nursery in this park.
Yeah.
There is Tibbetts Brook.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about Tibbetts Brook.
Yeah.
Next time.
Well-
There's the Van Cortlandt
Yeah.
Lake.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we'll do that now so the viewers can be jealous, but
Oh.
this is where we're going to end here.
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. This was a great
Well,
walk.
yeah.
Yeah, it really was. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks so much for coming. It was great to learn a little bit about both this park and your personal history, your journey
I know.
in the Parks Department, and
Just
yeah.
in life.
In
In
life,
the last
yeah.
10 years.
I know.
Yeah.
Like all your adult life in the parks.
Yeah.
all right. Well,
Cool.
take care for now, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, that's it for this week, everybody. I hope you enjoyed our time with Laila in Van Cortlandt Park.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We had a great time walking around, and as you saw, we only hit a little part of it, so go explore Van Cortlandt on your own if you're in the New York area.
Yeah, that's right. We had a great time, and next week we will be week 2 in the Bronx, the Botanic Gardens and all other sorts of other parks. We're having a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, so stay tuned, and if you liked this, you can hit subscribe to be notified when we post another video, and you can also like it, and if you have anything to say, you can comment, and we hope to see you again.
Yep, take care for now.
Bye.
Bye.